afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Edna Schaefer-Hughes, very proud to be the chair of Home Start Tamworth and privileged to welcome you all to today's presentation ceremony of the King's Award for Voluntary Service. Thank you so much to His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant Ian Dudson for coming to perform the presentation today, and importantly, bringing his wife Jane. We're also delighted that Leslie Knighton, Deputy Lord Lieutenant, has also been able to join us. I was going to say welcome to the High Sheriff, but I think she's still on her way. She's had trouble travelling today, unfortunately. A warm welcome to our very own Mayor of Tamworth, John Harper, and Councillor Thomas Jay as leader of Tamworth Borough Council, and also to Stephen Gabriel, who's just come into post as the Council's Chief Executive Officer. We're also delighted, and it's last but not least, that Sarah Edwards, the MP for Tamworth, has been able to join us for this celebration. So welcome to you all. But most importantly, a very special welcome to all of you out there, the volunteers of Home Start, the staff and the trustees, past and present, all involved in some way over the past 24 years that Home Start Tamworth has been operating. This is your award. It reflects all the wonderful work which has been carried out for the families in Tamworth, so congratulations. I must also pass on good wishes for today from Richard Hughes, who is now our Honorary President. Richard served as Chair of the Trustees for many years before recently passing over the baton to me. Richard sends his apologies. He's just returning to the country. He's probably landing at Heathrow as I'm speaking, so he's obviously not able to be with us today. However, in his words, he hopes that our afternoon is a great success to match the efforts of all the volunteers and staff who have done so much for the benefit of the residents of this town. In connection with today, we are grateful for the support we have received from Tamworth Borough Council in allowing us to hold the ceremony in our very own Tamworth Castle. So our very own Carol and Michael of Sticky Fingers, who are providing the refreshments, and to Chris and Edna Hills for their photography and the videoing expertise. And then also to Analog Devices for their sponsorship, helping us to make this a special day. And in fact, to any of you out there who've been on hand to help us getting ready for today in any way whatsoever. That's enough from me. To show you what Home Start Tamworth is all about, I'm now going to call on Ellie Paul to tell you her story.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the invite. My name's Ellie, the posh one's Eleanor in the book. It's a privilege to be here speaking to you about Home Start Tamworth and what it means to me. Today is about honouring the great work of volunteers, and the King's Award for Voluntary Service is the highest award given to local volunteer groups across the UK to recognise outstanding work done in their communities. Tamworth is my community, and I couldn't be more proud to stand here today to celebrate it. I'm going to share my story this afternoon, and whilst this is a talk about volunteers, it will also help you, hopefully give you an insight into what we already know, and that is that the work that Home Start Tamworth does for families is invaluable and life-changing. I'm going to share my story this afternoon, and it starts way back in 2002, and if any of you saw the photos earlier, that was me, very, very young. So I was a young mum with 2 small children. I found myself as a single parent following the breakdown of my relationship, and I had to start from scratch. I was 22 and Millie was 18 months old, Josie just 6 months old. The council had placed us in a bed and breakfast, then in temporary accommodation that I had to share with another family. Things were very unsettled for us all. Unfortunately, at the same time, my dad had cancer and it had returned, and he'd passed away quite suddenly. I was exhausted and feeling pretty low. I didn't have much of a support network, so I found myself booking a GP appointment to try and find some help. He referred me to Home Start. I didn't know what Home Start was, and I didn't know what they could do for me. Dawn rang me a few times, but I didn't answer. I was a little wary of letting anyone in. I was finally given a permanent home, and Dawn, not giving up, managed to track me down and talk me into a chat. She arrived at my doorstep and found me in a bit of a mess, with bags of clothes at the front door. I'd managed to buy a second-hand washing machine, but it had broken pretty much straight away, and I didn't have the money to replace it. Washing was piling up, and I was about to take some to my sister's house to wash. That afternoon, courtesy of Homestart Tamworth, a washing machine arrived at my front door. I couldn't believe someone would do that for me, and although on a practical level it was amazing to be able to get the washing done with 2 small babies, the impact of that now seemingly small gift continues to shape the person I am today, and it's a story I've told time and time again. Dawn also arranged for a volunteer to come and visit us. She bought magazines for the girls, and they sat colouring in together while I had a cup of tea and drank it all before it went cold. She listened to me. Another adult to talk to and to help with occupying the girls for a couple of hours was incredible. The support of a Homestart volunteer can't be underestimated, and it meant so much to me and the girls. Dawn introduced me to some mother and baby groups too, and these were absolute lifelines and exactly what we needed. We got so much out of them. I could let the girls paint and do the messy stuff that was too much for me to cope with on my own at home, and I got the support network I needed. A chat and a cuppa twice a week made such a difference. I'm still friends with some of the mums I met all those years ago, and a special mention to Scottish Ellie, who had all the energy and enthusiasm for nursery rhymes and games when I'd run out of steam to entertain my girls. Once I started to feel better, more able to cope, I knew I wanted to give something back. The girls were a bit older and could go to nursery for a couple of hours, and I was so grateful for the support I'd had and hoped that I could bring empathy and lived experience to a role as a volunteer. I'd had to go at some fundraising for Homestart Tamworth, and there was a newspaper clipping floating around earlier of our sponsored toddle and duck feed, just hoping to raise enough money for another washing machine for another family like me. But I wanted to get stuck in as a volunteer. Trish, Lynn and Dawn took me and the others on my cohort through the training, and once I was qualified, I was given my very first family of many to support. I met some wonderful people during my time as a volunteer, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, as well as knowing that my 2 hours a week to that family could have meant the same as the 2 hours I got when I needed it, and it was a privilege to be that person for someone else. My role as a volunteer also included sitting on the committee and supervising the holidays and day trips planned by Homestart Tamworth. This also meant that I got to take my children away, something I don't think I'd have been brave enough to do by myself. We have many happy memories of our Homestart holidays and days out. Trish will remember our day trip to the Wilderwood in Norfolk following our stay at Haven in KStJ, and seeing the fireworks and illuminations on the river in Matlock Bath. If my memory serves me well, this trip was a gift from a lovely chap, Postman Pete, who worked for Royal Mail and managed to save some seats on their coach trips for Homestart families. We went to Monkey World in Trentham, Rill, Butlins, Twin Lakes. It's really made me smile to think back on all the trips and all the fabulous times we had. I can hand on heart tell you that the time I gave to Homestart Tamworth as a volunteer has given me back so much more in so many ways. As the girls got older and went to school, I started looking for work again. I'd not really got much experience apart from hospitality and retail, so my Homestart training and volunteering experience was a real highlight on my CV. I'd applied for jobs but wasn't having much success until a position as a family support worker came up at Homestart Tamworth. I was lucky enough to get the job, and even luckier to shadow Gloria. Is she here? Can you all the way around the back, Gloria? And she was Homestart Tamworth Welfare Rights Advisor. I started to learn about the intricacies of the benefit system and how to help those who found it difficult to claim what they were entitled to, or to fight when a decision wasn't right or fair. I also learned how to make successful grant applications for families in need, securing beds, white goods and help with essential bills from grant-giving charities. After a lovely few years with Homestart Tamworth, including being part of the inception of Tamworth Can, a position came up as a grants assessor for Severn Trent Trust Fund. I remember Steph sending me the job details and saying, not that we want you to leave, but we think you'd be great at this. And it turns out they thought so too, and I went on to spend 10 years there, starting as an assessor and moving on to be a welfare rights advisor, then a senior, and then to manage a team of 16 welfare rights and debt advisors. I spent my last 12 months on secondment, trying my hand at business development, speaking at conferences, delivering seminars, and tailoring bespoke advice services for utility companies and the NHS. However, a little over 18 months ago, an opportunity came up that I couldn't resist a shot at. And this is where the world moves in the most mysterious ways. Some of you may have heard of the Henry Smith charity. Based in London, it enables charities across the UK to continue their fantastic work in communities by funding running costs and projects. In 2022, they awarded a record £64.9 million to people across the country. In January 2023, I was successful in gaining a position as a grants manager, responsible for the running of the Kindred scheme. And by the end of last year, I'd awarded 1.3 million of that pot to individuals in need. I absolutely love my job. I work from home mostly, and I get to travel into London once a week. But this is where it gets really interesting. So, Dawn spotted my job update on LinkedIn and messaged me to tell me that back in 2000, when Home Start Tamworth was very new, it was in fact the Henry Smith charity that funded them and saved them from closure. Without their help to keep Home Start Tamworth going, I might not have got the help I needed so desperately in 2002, and who knows what life for me and the girls would have looked like. So we've come full circle, and now I work for the charity that funded Home Start. So I'm pleased to tell you that Millie and Josie have grown into fantastic young adults. They've both graduated from university in the last couple of years and are happy and independent, and they make me very proud. In 2022, I bought my very own house, and life is a million miles away from where Dawn found me over 20 years ago. I firmly believe that without the strong foundations built without the help of Home Start Tamworth, from those very early years, our lives might have been very different today. So thank you, Home Start Tamworth, and especially Dawn, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you for sharing all that with us. We're obviously very proud of you. So it now gives me great pleasure to introduce His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant for Staffordshire, Mr. Ian Dudson, to address you.
Thank you, Edna. Mr. Mayor, Member of Parliament, Leader, Chief Executive, Tamworth Borough Council, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, everybody associated with either as volunteers or support in other ways to Home Start Tamworth, because that's why we're here, and what a fantastic celebration this is going to be this afternoon. You heard from Ellie in that magnificent story and explanation of what the charity means to you, so thank you for that. But you heard that the King's Award for Voluntary Service is the highest award that can be bestowed on any organisation that depends on volunteers. Originally started by our late Queen to mark her Golden Jubilee, so we're now 21 years or so into, 22 years into the life of the Voluntary Service Awards. Now, of course, recognised as the King's Awards for Voluntary Service. They are the equivalent of an MBE in the honours system, and filled what we think was a gap in the recognition of this country, in that there was no such award at that level for organisations, for groups of people. And they were within the personal honours system, or indeed the Queen's or King's Awards were previously just for enterprise. And in Staffordshire, in the last 20 or so years, I think we recognised the value of the award, and we now have 115 winners in this county of the award since its inception. That's, I think, as a result of two aspects. Firstly, the fact that we have some wonderful volunteer organisations in this county, and also the fact that I think we recognised early on that this award was worth drawing people's attention to and encouraging nominations. It's perhaps worthwhile for me just to spend a few minutes talking about what happens when somebody's nominated for the award. So if the nomination is accepted by the judging panel in London, then it will come back to Lord Lieutenants, and we're responsible for undertaking the assessment of those organisations that have been nominated. So I have the very useful help of a number of my deputies, and I'm looking at Leslie Knighton now, who undertook the assessment for this particular organisation. So I want to say a personal thank you to Leslie for your hard work, because I know how many hours you put into undertaking these assessments. But one of the things that always gets fed back to me is how it opens the eyes for us too, to realise what is going on in some of these organisations. And so the depth to which the assessment requires information leaves no stone unturned when it comes to investigating an organisation, quite rightly, because this award is now permanent. You will forever be a King's Award winner. If you're a company that wins the King's Award for Enterprise, you lose it after 5 years. And if you want to reapply, you can do, but it's not automatic. But for this award, it is permanent. So it's not surprising that the guidelines are quite stringent, and the assessment has to be strenuous. The benefits of the award for lots of organisations can be summarised, I think, in two particular areas. Many organisations find that fundraising becomes that bit easier. I won't say easy, because it's never easy, but gets that bit easier because you have a quality mark that people recognise. And the other thing is that attracting volunteers becomes that much easier. One of the things that struck me when I was going through the assessment paperwork was the statistic that over a third of your volunteers were service users at one stage or other before. That is a terrific compliment to the organisation, and says volumes, I think, for what support is being given at the early stages. So maybe recruiting volunteers isn't such a challenge for you as it is for some others, but it will help, I'm sure, that people also see that there's this quality mark when they're considering whether or not to come and help you. So I think we'll probably move on to the actual presentation now, if that's all right. I'm going to be helped in this process by two of my cadets. Each year, the cadet organisations for the armed forces and some other organisations provide me with their choice as a Lord Lieutenant Cadet. So I'm joined today by my Sea Cadet and my Royal Air Force Cadet. They are both coming to the end of their 12 months. They've only got about 2 weeks left before they'll hand over to their successors. They are great ambassadors for young people. They're great ambassadors for their own organisations, but they're also a great support to me, not only on events like this, but they've attended some royal visits, you've attended a number of different things, investitures. So I would just like to publicly thank you for all the support you've given me over the last year, and perhaps we can have a round of applause. Warrant Officer Rhiannon Taylor and Petty Officer Cadet Finn Burke. Okay, so if you would like to come and join me. Are you emceeing this part of it?
I am, that's okay
Yeah,
with you.
absolutely.
So we have the engraved crystal, which is to be presented to Jen Hillaby, who's currently a trustee with Homestart Tamworth, but who was, as you heard earlier, was one of the very early volunteers and has been with us in various capacities ever since.
just going to say, on behalf of His Majesty the King, it is my privilege and pleasure to present to you the King's Award for Voluntary Service. Many, many congratulations.
And the certificate is to be collected by Kerry Snow, who was one of the two mums instrumental in the start of Home Start Tamworth 24 years ago, and also Pat Banachek, who I believe was on the first board. So if you'd like to come up, ladies.
And as I often say, this is what makes it official, because that's the one that's signed.
Thank you. What we doing with it? What do we do? What are we doing with it on?
Do you want to leave it here? Do you want to... That's it.
So there are some pin badges which are inside there.
Okay.
So we've got pin badges for, well, I'm going to say the team, the management team really, but we'll start with the members of the board. Malcolm Harris-Smith.
Thank you very much.
Keith Goldsworthy.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you very much.
Jen Hillaby. You're up at- Jackie Rutter. Amanda Bailey. Dawn Candy. So those are all of the presentations.
Okay, right, thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to hand you over now to Dawn Candy for a few words before you're free to go for your refreshments.
Well, as everyone knows, I've been bouncy all day, so I'm just so excited. I would like to say to all the volunteers who can be here today, and all the ones who are going to see this video later, and all the ones who are joining us at the Castle Hotel later, because we've got Prosecco later, I've always felt it's a tremendous privilege to be part of Home Start Tamworth. From 2000, when I first started with the black ash dressing table, because we couldn't afford the desk, to now when we're actually in the Castle Hotel, the Castle today, is fantastic, isn't it? I think it's amazing that I've been lucky enough to have so many amazing volunteers. Hundreds and hundreds we have trained, and we're still training today. The thousands of families that we have supported, what a privileged position we've been in to be part of those young people's lives. We were set up originally in 1972 by a fantastic lady called Margaret Harrison. And she believed if we got it right for young parents and their children in the early days, most of the problems in this world would be solved. Now, lots of things have changed. We now call it lived experience. She called it common sense. A couple of years ago, we had a fantastic campaign going, and it was called the Snowflake Effect, because children are as unique and fragile as snowflakes. Now it's an insult. Who knew what a change it would be in the space of 10 years? So I would just like to now call on a few other people to come and present some flowers. So do we know who's presenting flowers?
Yes.
Yes? So if you'd like to come and collect the flowers for presentation, please. There we go. Amanda, you're presenting too. Okay. Mrs. Leslie, you helped us so much. Okay, and now we have Sue, you're presenting too. We are going to present these to you because unfortunately your wife couldn't come today, but there you go. Okay then.
Just thank you on behalf of my wife. Apologises profusely. She's very poorly at the moment, and she just wishes to say on her behalf, thank you so much, and wish you all the very best. And may I just say that we have ourselves, as a family, had great help from Home Start through Gloria, who helped my wife and my stepdaughter hugely some years ago. And if Gloria is in here, she asked.
Wave, Gloria.
She asked me to pass on her very best wishes to Gloria and all of you at Home Start. You are incredible people, and we thank you so much from our family. Thank you.
Thank you. And we would like to present you with some flowers as well, please. There we go. Picture.
Move over a bit. Thank you so much.
And we would also... Who's that? This is our High Sheriff. You couldn't ride the tree.
May I just say, I truly woke up this morning so excited to come today because what you do, it strikes a particular chord in my own heart, but you deserve so much this accolade, this praise for what you do. You're amazing and brilliant. And I was so looking forward to being here at 3 o'clock to meet you all and talk to you and say thank you and well done. And I should not have followed Waze and sat-nav and Google Maps, and I got into such a pickle. And all I can say is that if for every second I've been late, I could honestly give you an extra hug and say thank you. I mean that. I'm so sorry, and also I've breached protocol. I'm so sorry, Lord Lieutenant and Mrs. Ian Dudson, for being so tardy. Forgive me, please. I'm so sorry. It's just a joy to be here. And if you don't mind, for every minute I've been late, I'm going to have a chat with you afterwards and a hug.
But we have a gift for you.
Oh no! I think... Oh goodness me! Thank you. And please forgive me. It is so rude to be late, and you so deserve every single moment of anyone's time. Thank you for what you do. Every family needs, I think Catherine, Princess Wales, she's put such a spotlight on this issue, hasn't she? Yeah. Happy children need happy parents, and what you do is building a happy community and a happy future generation, and that's so critical. So thank you all, really.
Thank you for making the effort.
just say, before we go out we've got afternoon tea, and then anyone who'd like to join us at the Castle Hotel, 6 o'clock, we're celebrating with more volunteers who unfortunately the room's not big enough. But can I just say, childhood can't wait. We need to make a difference today for every child that's born.
Yeah.
Thank you.